Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the May edition of Suite 301. Hey, it's May.
Crazy May.
I'm joined here with Eric Curator. I'm Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to Suite 301. Coming to you live from Pittsburgh, PA. We're here to talk about all the news and happenings around all the Cold Club sports leagues. Don't forget, you can always watch our broadcasts on our Suite 301 page, as well as Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, remember to like our Facebook pages, follow along with our Twitter accounts for all the latest news and media. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel for videos for around our leagues and to watch previous episodes of Suite 301. Got a little tie there.
All right. Well, let's dive right into baseball, and we'll welcome to the set Jimmy Henderson. Jimbo.
Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing?
Where do you guys want to start? You want to start with the latest top 20s? I mean, we are World Series time. Yeah, we've got softball World Series, D2 World Series this week, D1 next week.
Let's see which one pops up first because I'm not prepared.
All right, well, let's go. Let's dive right into the top 20 and take us through it. The D1.
Nice. Okay. So this came out on Monday. We had our regional playoffs this past weekend. A lot of exciting stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But brand new number one team. First time all year. For those who've been paying attention, Virginia Tech was in the number one spot for, I believe we've had 11 polls since this last one. So Penn State takes over the number one spot. Impressive showing at the regional tournament over in Cortland, New York for the North Atlantic. They went ahead and took the number one spot with 4 first-place votes. Second spot, we got Florida State with 7 first-place votes. Utah State, East Carolina, Cal Poly, University of Michigan, University of Nebraska, VTech in the 8th spot, which is kind of interesting in the sense they did not make the World Series, but like I was saying earlier, they were the number one team for forever before this, returning national champ. And the 8th World Series team, LSU, in the 9th spot. Big jump from not being ranked, and obviously they had a good regional performance. So,
absolutely.
That is the latest top 20. Just quick reminder, we will have a final top 20 when it's all said and done, right after the World Series in June. So don't take this to the bank, but this is the latest. This came out on Monday after the regional playoffs.
All right, and that weighed into a little bit of the World Series seeding, which we're going to get into the World Series. But let's dive over to the D2 top 20 poll, and let's get a recap there, Jimmy.
Yeah, so coming in at first is Cal U receiving all 15 first-place votes, and really no surprise there. They had a good regional, going 3-1. Ohio State did beat them once, who was ranked number 2 at the time. So definitely one of the most competitive regionals there. Biggest jumps was Missouri S&T, Fordham, and University of Washington, which, again, not a big surprise there, as all 3 of those guys won their regionals as well, making the World Series here starting this weekend. All 3 of those coming, or no, 2 of the 3 coming not ranked, making the top 10, and Washington coming up from 18th to 11th.
Absolutely, and you see that the voters have a lot of respect for a team like Ohio State, who didn't win their region, battled Cal U really hard, and they only dropped to the 5 spot in the polls. So, a lot of respect there. So, hey, no one says the top 8 teams get to go to the World Series.
Right? Yeah,
right?
Works. Same thing with Georgia College. They're staying in the top 8. They took one from High Point, who was on a 14-game winning streak at the time, heading into regionals. So they're getting respect as well, staying in the top 10, although they did not win their regional.
All right. Well, hey, exciting news on the baseball front end. Well, we keep talking about heading into regionals, coming out of regionals. Let's do a regional recap. Let's see how these past few weekends played out.
We'll go D1 first. All right. I have the brackets next to me, but obviously you guys can see in the Chiron there. We'll start with first, the Great Lakes region, Michigan. We're actually going to talk to them in a little bit here, but they came in as the at-large bid. They were the only at-large bid to end up winning their region. Mind you, other ones were competitive and did a very good job, but they were the only ones who came out on top. They went ahead and run-rolled Notre Dame 10-0 in the final. Mid-America, you're more than welcome to look through these if you'd like. Mid-America, Nebraska was a returning World Series team. They topped Colorado 6-5. They ended up dropping the first game on Sunday morning, but came back and won that if necessary game. So good for them. We'll see them for a second straight year. Mid-Atlantic, which was probably one of the more competitive ones around the country. VT, returning national champ, as we were saying before, the heavy hitter, number 1 team all year. Came in, dropped the game early to East Carolina, right, Jimmy?
Yeah. Go off that. It was a close game. ECU goes up 6-0 early. VT claws back. ECU could never put them away. And final was 8-7 there in that 1-0 game.
That's right. They had the bases loaded, I believe, right?
They had the bases loaded, no outs, and could not get the tying run in.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
And that's the game right after they beat Ohio State 1-0, 2-1, 1-0.
Skylar Petrie, Mr. May, threw a
16
complete game.
strikeouts.
Yeah, one hitter, no walks, 16 strikeouts. I don't believe he's given up a run in his last 17 innings. He's given up one hit in his last 17 innings. So he shows up when the lights are on, so kudos to him on a fabulous year. And I'm not sure what year he is, but he's had a great career thus far. So just to keep the train rolling a little bit, North Atlantic Region, Penn State won a perfect 3-0. Delaware, a very good team in their own right. Penn State came back. I believe they scored 5 in the 9th to tie it. Right? Is that something right?
I believe Delaware was up 5.
Yeah, Penn State scored 5 real late. I believe it was the 8th or the 9th they came back. Extra innings, I believe, and Penn State walked it off on it. So I'm excited to see them at the World Series. They'll be the number 1 seed, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
And I heard UConn was really impressive in that region.
They were. Mike Galletti, our staff guy out there, was speaking good things about them. He had a couple of good arms. It's just big kids who mashed. So shout out to them. It's great to see them competitive. They're not going to say they're down lately, but it's they haven't really been in the mix the last couple of years. So good for them. Northern Pacific Region, Utah State, returning World Series team, took down Oregon. Utah State won a perfect 3-0 on the weekend, so we'll be seeing them next week. South Atlantic, Florida State, and Auburn had a great game. Stephen Baker, our guy on site down there, spoke the world about Auburn. I think they had a kid hit 4 homers in the weekend, like legit over the fence.
As opposed to
inside the park, you get turf, maybe it hits it and runs, I don't know. The kid had 4 bombs. He spoke very highly of them. And just to throw it out there, they were a new team 2 years ago. They were going to be in our Division III league. That year got canned because of COVID. And then this past year they weren't cleared to play. Now they made the jump to Division I this year, first year as a program, and they made the regional final. So shout out to those guys. Excuse me.
War Eagle.
Southern Pacific Region, Cal Poly won a perfect 3-0. They mercied UCLA in the finals. And Gulf Coast, LSU came out on top 6-4.
The Cal Poly thing surprised me. I really thought Grand Canyon was going to come out of that regional.
I think they were the favorite going in, even though they weren't the number 1 seed, just based on maybe they're good every year. They've been good this year. They have a great coaching staff. I think a lot of people were expecting them to win that region, but hats off to Cal Poly. They were number 1 seed coming in, and I don't believe they had a close game. Off the top of my head, I can take a peek real quick, but they've had a great year. Only 1 loss, I believe. So, 11-9, 10-5, 13-1. They put out some big runs. So,
what's exciting to me,
25-15 the first round.
Okay,
so it's gonna hit.
One of the things I always talk about is how much I love fresh blood at the World Series. So we got 2 new teams making their first ever World Series appearance with LSU and Cal Poly. Excited to get to meet those boys and get to see them play their brand of baseball down in South Carolina.
Yeah, we got a little everything. Got some heavy hitters. I think we got 3 2-time champs in Penn State, East Carolina, and Utah State. So they've been there before. They kind of know what to expect. And as you were mentioning, we got some new blood. Cal Poly, I believe Michigan, you mentioned, has been there once, but it's been a long time.
Columbus, Georgia.
Florida State's been around the last couple of years. Nebraska was there last year. So, you get a little bit of everything. LSU, I don't believe, has ever been to the World Series. So, yeah, it's a unique field. Get a little bit of everything, and we'll see how it turns out come next week.
All right. Well, what do we got on the D2 regional recap? Is that what's next up?
That's what's next.
All right.
So starting off in Chesapeake, that 2-0 score there you see is actually the most lopsided score of the regional.
Really?
Yep. Unique circumstance with weather, where we had to move it to a single elimination 1-day tournament. But the 2 semifinal games were both 1-run games. So 3 real close games up there with Mike Smith. And Penn State comes out on top.
And that regional got relocated because
of weather.
The original location basically flooded, right? Like that field. When it stopped raining, they came back to you and said this field's not going to be playable for several days.
Yeah. Friday we make a decision to move it and find a turf field. As the forecast, there was no possibility of us playing even into Monday.
So 2 hours north, got an all-turf field. And
2 hours north, yeah, but the Maple Zone Sports Institute. All-turf, the kids liked it. Mike Smith said it was a great facility, so I'm glad he was able to get something in. Moving on to Dixie, High Point and Georgia College went to the if necessary game, as 5 of the 7 double elimination regionals did. So a lot of good games here, but High Point takes it 7-1 after Georgia College beats them once to force the game. Heard they're very good at hitting, so we'll see here at the World Series what they can bring with the bats. Great American Region, Missouri S&T, a perfect 3-0. They were a D3 team prior to COVID, I'm pretty sure. So they're having a good showing in D2 here, making their World Series. New England, Fordham, 2-1 over New Hampshire. They went 3-0 as well. And I looked at some stats after Antonio got back with us. Said they pitched very well. And I looked up their whole season. They have not given up more than 5 runs in a single game this year.
That's crazy.
So we'll see what they have on the mound. Northern Plains, North Dakota, and Wisconsin goes to the if necessary Game 7 game. North Dakota was actually down 5-0 in that game, explodes for 7 or 8 runs in a single inning, and hangs on to win 10-6 with a couple home runs in that game as well. And also shout out to, I believe it was President Andrew Yonke hit a walk-off home run in the game to get them to the championship game as well.
Very cool.
So, Pacific Region, Grand Canyon, Mercy rules Stanford. That's another game that went to the if necessary game after Stanford Mercy run them in the first game of the day.
Wow.
To get there. So Grand Canyon, like Eric was saying, very good program. We'll see them at the D2 World Series. Rocky Mountain Region, Washington and Metro State also go to an if necessary game. You can see there Washington 10-run Metro State in the final. So they'll be making the long trip out, and we're glad they are. And then to cap it off, New Penn Region, Cal U, the number 1 team. Ohio State was the number 2 team going into regionals. Another, if necessary, game that happened here where Cal U comes out on top.
All right. So that's our D2 regional recap. Cal U taking care of business against a tough. That regional had the 1 and 2 ranked teams in the country going into it, right?
Yeah, 1 and 2, and then Eastern Michigan was a top 10 team going in as well in the same regional.
Oh wow. Tough battle. Hey. Got to be good to get to the World Series.
That's right.
Congratulations to those teams that made it there. All right, I think next up for us is we're going to have a guest caller. I believe we're welcoming to the show from the University of Michigan, Kobe Bernstein.
I'm on the show.
Hey, Kobe, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you got Eric with the NCBA here. We got Sandy and Jimmy. First and foremost, man, congratulations. Awesome weekend. I was following along with you guys. Has it hit you guys yet? You're a World Series team.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we're not accustomed to. Just our second time in program history going there. But it was definitely not a shock to us getting there. But based on how the games went, we did not expect to pull away with a plus 29 run differential on the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a heck of a weekend, and just to kind of rewind a little bit, I remember meeting you guys down at the fall tournament up in Battle Creek, and, was this always the expectation? You kind of touched on it earlier, but, you guys didn't get to play last year because of the COVID thing, and, maybe you guys were just happy to be back and see where it takes you this year, or was it always, hey, we think we're good enough, we should be at that World Series?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at our roster at the beginning of the year, I was like, wow, we got a really good team here. And then as we went through each week played game, we could just tell that we had something special going on, and we knew the whole time it was going to be us or State, down to the wire. And unfortunately, we were 1 out away from winning the region, beating State, winning our division, probably being the 1 seed in regional. So at that point, we always knew that we were a legit contender, and that making the World Series was something that we could attain.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, you guys had an awesome run. A large bid, you ran the table. Did you know a lot about Wisconsin throughout the year, Notre Dame, Michigan State? Well, obviously Michigan State being a conference team, but do you guys have a lot of familiarity with Wisconsin, Notre Dame, who you guys played? Both of them, actually.
Yeah, we didn't have too much, but we did a good, went through all their game-changing play-by-plays, trying to get as much as we could, scouting report-wise, and our team kind of pitched in, gathered some good intel, and then from there we just tried to pick the best lineup in the pitching rotation and figure out a good strategy, and then we were just able to execute it pretty well.
Awesome, and moving ahead, if somebody who's not very familiar with the University of Michigan Club Baseball, what are your guys' strengths? What do you guys depend on? Are you slugfest? Is it, pitching? Is it both? One or the other?
Yeah, I think it depends on a given day, but especially in our regionals, we got 3 brilliant starts from our top 3 starters. I think pitching is definitely something that teams got to be aware of. I mean, our number 1 guy, Raj Sharma, had an incredible year where teams barely hit the guy until Michigan State, and that was probably the only team that put up more than 1 run against him all year long. This is a guy who was first starting his career through a no-hitter, and he's just been a dominant force for us all year long. And then we got another guy, Max Estrman, number 2 guy, who was recruited to be on the real team here in Michigan, then got hurt, but he's working his way back and has been just been shoving it for us. Looking real good. And our number 3 guy, Trey Meadows, a freshman, has just been coming along really nicely and just peaking at the right time. And those 3 guys just give us a chance to win every ball game we're in. And then on the offense, we were missing some guys the last few weeks, but now we're back to full strength, and when everyone's playing at their best, we got a really strong lineup. Brendan Karsh and Brett Rogers are definitely our two main guys that have been just crushing it all year long for us. But basically, 1 through 9, we got a solid lineup to support that pitching staff, and we're just excited about what we got going forward.
Yeah, and take me through the schedule for the next week and a half. Are you guys all in Ann Arbor right now? Or are you guys all spread out? Are you guys practicing? What's kind of the approach for the next week and a half here?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been tough for us because we finished school probably the earliest out of almost any school in the country. We finished middle of April. So we had about 10 guys. About half our team was practicing before regionals. For those that was around, everyone else we were telling them throw while you can, get the cages while you can. And for next week it'll be similar to that. Just kind of work on your own as we're not really in the same place anymore. People are starting summer jobs and stuff. But we'll try to coordinate, make sure everyone's getting their work in on their own. And then as the week of nationals, we're going to figure out travel a little bit and hopefully try to get a few practices in before that. So we're ready to go.
So Kobe, this is Sandy from the NCBA. You guys square off. Your opening round game at the World Series is Utah State, Game 1 of the 2022 World Series. What's going to be your approach to taking on the Aggies?
Yeah, I mean, I think what worked for us all regions in the regionals the whole time was just our energy. We got in there, the whole team was just energy from the get-go, inning 1 to inning 9 every game. I think that was a big difference. We were hungry, we wanted it, and we want the World Series. We think we have a team capable of putting it together, and we want that. So we're just going to come in with a lot of energy. We know Utah State has one of the most impressive lineups in the country, maybe the most impressive. Tons of guys with great OPS and extra base hits. So we're going to have to try to combat that with our pitchers. I mean, probably have Raj or Ace throwing against them, so we always feel good about our chances when he's on the mound. And then we'll just have to hopefully get the bats going against them because they have a very good team, and also we're another team that won 3-0 in regionals just like us. So it's going to be a good challenge for us, but we're excited to have some good competition and be in a good fight.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys mashed all year long. And on the topic of mashing home runs, let's talk about the home run derby. The two guys that you guys submitted, tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so Brian Kolstad's a senior. He's my co-president right now. He's been starting since his freshman year at first base. And, I mean, he has as much power as we've seen from any guy. I mean, in batting practice, he gets at least one home run a day at Ray Fisher, which is Michigan Stadium. So that's always impressive to see. And then Brett also had 2 home runs this year. He's a guy that's kind of come along late. He's actually being my co-president next year. He's just a really strong kid who's putting it together on the plate right now and finding it. And, I mean, he probably hit a couple balls at least 370 this year already over the fence. And he just hits the ball hard. So when he gets under 1-2, that ball's just going to carry. Those two guys just been looking strong at the plate all year long, and it'll be fun to watch them in the long ball challenge and see what they can do there.
Now I got a question for you. Michigan's a program whose varsity baseball team has had some success these last few years. Has there been any correspondence with them about what you guys have achieved here, or guys potentially getting looks to move up to varsity? Is there any relationship there?
Yes. So I actually personally work for the Michigan baseball team. I do analytics for them, so I have been in touch with them a little bit about it, keep them updated. And there are a couple kids getting looks. Our shortstop, he was practicing with them for a while. He definitely has a chance to get there. Our 2 top pitchers are also getting a couple looks. They don't dip down too much, but there are definitely a few guys that are definitely on the radar right now, especially with the years they put together.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
If nobody got anything else, hey Kobe, I just first and foremost, like I was saying earlier, congrats, man. Seeing you guys in the fall, I knew you guys were good. It was impossible to know you'd be this good, but hey, hats off to you guys. We're excited to see you down in Greenwood, South Carolina next week. Safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you on the field.
Yep. Thanks, Eric. Looking forward to it.
All right, man. We'll see you soon.
Bye. All right, that's Kobe Bernstein of the University of Michigan Wolverines, and congratulations to them in winning the Great Lakes Regional title and heading to the World Series again.
Large bid, heck of a run.
Yeah, hey, well, you go into the last weekend of the season with all the nuts on the table and get upset by your little brother down the road.
Yeah, I'm sure that had something to do with it. But like he was saying, they did not have close games. 9-1 over Wisconsin, 18-7 over Notre Dame, and 10-0 over Notre Dame. So they got hot at the right time. That's for sure.
All right, well, let's move on to our next caller from Fordham University. We're going to be joined by Thomas Quigley.
What's up, fellas?
How you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing quite all right. How are you guys doing?
Good. You excited? You look excited.
This is the last ride for me. I'm a senior on my way out. Really only got like one full season my freshman year because, sophomore year got ended early. Last year we weren't really able to do any sort of practicing or anything at all because of COVID. So, very excited. This is our first time in program history in the World Series. So, looking to make our mark and maybe go around and win.
Good, Jimmy.
Thomas, Jimmy Henderson, the D2 director here at the NCBA. Take us through the last week of the season where you guys did not control your own destiny. You had to win your last two, and Montclair State also had to lose one. So what was the just morale of the team that weekend, just knowing that you got to take care of your own business and you also need a little bit of help?
Yes, that was Marist that they went on a 10-game win streak heading into that last weekend. We had a couple makeups against Stony Brook and Adelphi. We won the first one, kind of a nail-biter, but going into the second one, we were watching the game changer all day for Marist versus Stevens Tech. They had a 3-game set. Marist won the first one, but they did a doubleheader Saturday, so we were all just checking our phones throughout the day. And then Stevens was able to pull out the win. So we knew headed into our last game of the season, it was a night game, that all we had to do was win, we were in. And, it was another nail-biter kind of, but, our pitching has been solid all year, so we never really had any doubt in them. And we got that win. And headed into regionals, we were the 4th seed, but we've kind of embraced that underdog mentality, went in there looking to win, and, went 3-0.
Good stuff. And you kind of segued into it. That was my next question with the pitching here. I spoke a little bit earlier how pitching's been great for you guys all year. In the regional, only gave up 2 runs the first game with a 3-2 win over Montclair, nothing the second game with a 3-0 win over Cortland, and then only 1 run with a 2-1 win over New Hampshire. So tell us just about the pitching staff, and are you guys deep? Do the starters always go all 7, or just how confident are you guys with this pitching that you've had all year?
Yeah, so, headed into the season, we only had 7 returning players, so it was kind of tough for me to put together a huge roster of new guys. We got 15 absolute studs, honestly. I was surprised by how much talent we had show up to the tryouts, but our pitching staff's been so good. Our ace is Dave Richards, who was originally recruited by Fordham Varsity, ended up getting surgery on his arm, and just transferred here this year, decided he wanted to play some baseball, and he's been absolutely electric. He's got an ERA under 1. I think he's 8-0 on the season as a starter. And then we got Andy Perez, who's a freshman from LA. He was practicing with varsity for a lot of this year. Got cut in March, which is, unfortunate for him, but really good for us because, he's also carried a ton of the load for us. His ERA also sub-1. And then we got Finn Starzik, who's the president of the team, the captain, and he's been kind of our horse in the starting rotation since our sophomore year. He was huge in that championship game against UNH, no earned runs. Really, we don't win that game without him. So those 3 pitchers have kind of, carried the load for us. And while we still have some big bats in the lineup, including a couple kids that we're abroad in London for all of this semester, coming back for the World Series. We're definitely pitching first team, and we're going to, continue to ride that out. We do have a lot of pitching depth that, we have guys who haven't really seen the mound for any of the spring just because those 3 guys often go to the distance. But, for a big tournament where we have to play a lot of games like the one coming up, I have nothing but faith in all the arms in our rotation. So very excited to get out there.
Good stuff. And, you mentioned the underdog mentality all year. You were the 4th seed at the regional, and coming to the World Series, the first up is going to be number 1 seed and number 1 ranked in the country, Cal U. So how are you guys just getting yourself mentally prepared for that battle?
Yeah, right now we kind of don't really fear any program. We went into regionals kind of thinking that we were the underdog, but when we showed up, it was pretty clear that we were at least more than prepared, or more than capable of winning the whole thing. And we went 3-0, and there's tough competitions out there, but we have a lot of faith in our guys, and And California U, I mean, obviously they've been at the top of the rankings all year, and they have a D1 and D2 program that are obviously both headed to the World Series. So got a lot of good players on that team. I think we're just going to stick to our game plan of absolutely shoving with our starters, and then we're going to have to pick up the offense a little bit to compete with all these teams. But I'm not really too worried about any one specific program. I think we're going to go in there and give it our best. I think we have a really good shot doing it all.
All right. Well, hey, Thomas, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
How could you not be excited for
I know, this guy is pumped up. Yeah, I mean, it makes me want to go out and buy a Fordham t-shirt.
I'm going to be working the event route for him after this.
We might start, we were selling t-shirts earlier. We might start that back up. So if you want to buy a t-shirt,
Oh, wow. Got to fund the trip to Butler.
plan on getting back here next year. So.
All right, good stuff. Well, Thomas, you and your guys, congratulations on a great season, a great run through regionals, and good luck. I want to say next week, but it's this week. Safe travels to Butler, PA for the D2 World Series. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, let's move on to some baseball housekeeping items. What do we got to talk about, boys?
The big thing is just paperwork for next year, 2023 paperwork. We're getting a lot of them in already, which is great, but that stuff's due July 1st. Need your league participation agreement and your registration form just for updated contacts. We know who to contact throughout the summer. A lot of you guys have graduated. Some of you may not be returning. It's good for us to have that information and get us that as soon as possible. July 1st is the deadline. The other thing I wrote down too is all region stuff. Our initial deadline was May 15th, but we're probably not going to be picking those till after the World Series, so it's never too late to submit those to myself for Division 1 and Jimmy for Division 2. So, I miss anything? We good?
Nope, I was going to mention all regional as well, but you covered it.
Nice. Okay.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the baseball segment here. Don't forget, we'll have you can follow along live with the Division II World Series through Point Streak.
Yep, our scoring app.
Our scoring
Gamecast.
app. Gamecast. You can follow that along live through going to the NCBA D2 website, going to the World Series page. You'll find the link on there.
We'll blast that.
And then you'll also be able to follow the live broadcast of the Division I World Series.
Stay tuned.
Details to come. All right.
Anytime.
Well, thank you, boys. Appreciate it. We'll be back after this commercial break to dive into some NCSA softball.
The Game is the official headwear sponsor for Cold Club Sports. They offer our team's quality headwear, such as hats, visors, boonies, and beanies for a great low price. All items are customizable to meet our team's needs. Contact Felicia.Battaglia at coldclubsports.com for all of your headwear needs.
Rawlings is the proud uniform, equipment, and ball sponsor of the National Club Baseball and Softball Associations. Teams receive up to 45% off on all their orders. For more information, including catalogs and price quotes, contact our front office.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined on set now with Christian Smith and Lacey Lautner, both of the NCSA staff. And hey, we are just hours away from first pitch of the Softball World Series. But before we get into that, let's talk about our latest top 20. Lacey, why don't you take us through our top 20 going on in softball?
Yep, so our top 20. So this came out the first week of May. So to reigning champs as always, the University of Delaware. They've been there for about last 5 or 6 months. Then we have the University of Michigan, Virginia Tech, Arkansas State University, University of Illinois, Clemson University, Georgia, Northern Arizona, Connecticut, Michigan State, Penn State, Pitt, the University of Wisconsin, North Carolina State, Air Force Academy, University of Cincinnati, Florida State, Sacred Heart Red, Grand Valley, and Cornell.
Okay. So Delaware's got that top spot. They've been holding on to it for a while, you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Reigning champ being Clemson?
Yep.
Right?
World Series champ last year.
Yep. Came through, and they're popping in at the 6th spot. There we go. And who else is high up there? Boom. Michigan. Michigan, a lot of Michigan love, baseball and softball this year, having impressive seasons. All right, good stuff. So this came out right after regionals. You said it came out first week of May, once the regionals. Now let's go through that. Do we have anything to recap the regionals, or are we going right into the World Series play? Right in the World Series. Okay, let's dive into that. So we've got our 16 teams seeded. Again, for most people out there, if you don't know, the top 2 teams from each of the 8 regionals make the World Series. Unfortunately, we had one team finish runner-up in their regional, could not attend the World Series due to conflicts with finals, which created a at-large bid opportunity in which we looked at all the third-place finishers, and the panel selected Florida State for that honor. So they come in as the 16 seed going into pool play. So as you can see on the screen, there's our 4 pools lined up. Our initial 24 games to start the event, which kicks off this Thursday at noon Eastern. The second round is at 3 p.m. Eastern, and then pool play concludes at 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday. You can see the matchups there. Of course, with the World Series, you can always South Commons Sports Complex has live streaming cams on all fields, so you'll be able to go to the link on the Softball World Series page, click follow now. You can go to that link, and then by using this schedule, if you figure out what field your team is on, like you see at noon on Thursday, Pitt, Northern Arizona are on Field 6. You go to this link, pick Field 6, and you'll be able to watch that game live action right there. So keep your schedule handy so you know which field to tune into. But definitely
come join us live.
Or come join us live, even better. I looked at bring your suntan lotion. It's going to be hot and sunny down there in Columbus, Georgia. I just checked the weather this morning as I was packing my bag because we leave tonight.
Yeah, and then we'll be posting updates also on the social media and our website. So keep an eye out on both of those for any game-by-game updates.
Excellent. Yep. Boom. So then we dive into bracket play. Once we get through pool play, the teams are reseeded 1 through 16 based on their performance in pool play, and then we go into the double elimination bracket. That's where things get down and dirty and nasty, and that's how we come out with a champion on Sunday evening. Yep. So about to dive into a 4-day stretch of a lot of softball. We can't wait for it. I haven't been down there in a few years. Lacey's hasn't been down there in a few years. So last time you were down there, you were a player, weren't you? You were competing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were checking some old records. Saw you got some MVP votes on that tournament. So
yeah.
All right, good stuff.
One little update. Also, the league meeting for teams that are attending the World Series, the league meeting will be held on Wednesday at 8 p.m. at the stadium. So mark that on your calendars, and yeah, we'll see you there.
All right, sounds good. Boom. Any housekeeping items to talk about on the softball side?
Yeah, so we have a couple housekeeping items. The first one is the LPA and the reg form are due June 1st. So we keep getting those every day. So teams, if you want to, come on, send them back in. And then after the World Series is over, we're going to have the All-Americans and the All-Region teams released. We're collecting the data for that right now from our panel, and I think that's really it for the NCSA.
Okay. We wish all 16 teams safe travels as they descend upon Columbus, Georgia this week, and we will see you
Wednesday.
That's tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night at the coaches meeting. Holy cow. There we go. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back to talk about some NCBA basketball. Why is Bubby calling me in the middle of Suite 301?
National Club Baseball and Softball Associations. Teams receive up to 45% off on all their orders. For more information, including catalogs and price quotes, contact our front office today.
We're back. I told you it would be a quick break. All right, Christian. You wear 2 hats. You're VP of softball. You're VP of basketball. Basketball's officially in the off season. We had the national championship last month. It was awesome, both men's and women's. But we're now take us through what kind of goes on in that off season.
Yeah, so I want to get into, obviously, congrats to Purdue winning the men's and Boston College winning the women's national championships. But, yeah, we're in the off season right now. We'll get into some housekeeping things teams need to be prepared for. But before we get into that, I want to talk all region teams. We had 5 regions this past year, which means we have 5 regions. 5 all-region teams. So that being said, we'll start off with the South Atlantic all-region team. You can see it on the screen there. I'm not going to go through each and every single one, but congratulations to all the players that made those teams. You see a common theme and something that I want to get into at the end once we get through all these is you see a common theme of only a few teams being represented. And that's mainly due to only having a few teams nominate players. So that's something we'll certainly need to address during the league meeting and work on in the coming years. But nonetheless, congratulations to these gentlemen. One guy I'd like to point out, Phil DeRozier from Auburn University. Got to meet him. He came up to the national championship tournament as a non-participating team, but competed in our skills competition. So he was a baller. Really enjoyed watching him play, and he had certainly a fantastic season. So congratulations to him and all the players on the South Atlantic All-Region team.
Very impressive to have 3 guys from Pennsylvania on the South Atlantic All-Region team.
I didn't even notice that. Did not notice that, but
basketball players from our home state going south for school.
Yeah, there's a Greensburg guy right there too at Florida State. So, congratulations to those guys. Moving on to the North Atlantic, and keep in mind all these all-region teams. They're currently being released one at a time, or one a day. Excuse me. So all these can be found online on our website and on our social media feeds. But North Atlantic all-region teams. One guy that was just an absolute stud all year, Mitch Forlin from Wright State University. He was player of the week, national player of the week, I want to say 4 or 5 times, and a kid that didn't even play high school basketball, which was shocking to me. He was a soccer player through high school, and there's a great story on him on our social media page that they did a piece on him, how it's just shocking how good this kid was, and he was an absolute stud. I think averaged, I want to say 27 some points a game. So congratulations to him and all the rest of the guys that made the North Atlantic All-Region team. On to the Mid-Atlantic. Got to see some guys from Radford play up in the national championship. Cam Hughes, absolute stud, so shout out to him. And also VMI guys, I'd give a shout out to Phil over at Auburn. I want to also give a shout out to the VMI guys that came up, Jordan and Jacob, who came up, participated in the skills competition and in the All-Star game. So congratulations to them taking home all-region honors in the Mid-Atlantic. Moving on to the New England, you see kind of short here. Again, just lack of nominations from teams. But again, nonetheless, I want to congratulate the guys that did make it on there. So, 2 guys from Vermont, Trent and Spencer, who got to see up in the fall tournament, and I know they were 2 really, really solid basketball players. So, no, they are definitely deserving. But congratulations to those guys, and last but not least, the Great Lakes All-Region team. Again, kind of a common theme. Not a ton of all-region, nominations, but Purdue, our national champions, taking all first-team honors there, and rightfully so. I mean, that team was absolutely incredible. Shout out to their center, Emerson, who won MVP honors at the national championship. So those are all region teams. They are on our website, but again, something that we'll need to discuss at the league meeting is, how can we get more teams to participate, because we need your help. We want to recognize you guys for great seasons, but again, we need your help in getting nomination forms submitted to us, stats entered online, and things like that, so that we're able to compare players. So something to discuss at a different time. But again, I don't want to take that away from the players that did win all region honors. And we'll follow these up after all of the all region teams will be released. We'll have all Americans. So stay tuned for that. That'll be out probably next week. So.
All right, good stuff. And then women's all region teams, can we expect those by next week?
Yeah, I know, Alec, same kind of thing, just wanting to get a little more participation from teams. So his are delayed just a little bit while he hopefully collects some more, but those will be released shortly. I would say in the next week or so, we'll start seeing all region teams for NCBBAW.
All right, good stuff.
Yes, sir. As far as housekeeping items go, the biggest things, and I think it's probably a common theme throughout this episode, is LPA's registration forms. We need those submitted. I know most of you guys are, ladies and gentlemen, are probably off campus, but we need to have those LPAs submitted by June 1st. It's really important that we get those in on time because it helps us as an organization with realignments, knowing what our membership's going to be like, just help with the planning purposes. So getting those in on time, they are due June 1st, the LPA being the league participation agreement. We also need the registration form, which is just updated contact information for your team. Those have all been sent out, emailed out, so please check your email. And if you can't find the email, they are online for you to download on the documents page. Also want to talk about the league meeting. That is going to be Tuesday, June 14th, so that is quickly approaching. That meeting is extremely important. It is a live meeting. We do it over Facebook Live. If you're tuning in with us now, you're able to tune into that meeting. Same kind of thing. You'll be able to comment during the meeting. So if you have any questions, you can certainly ask during the meeting. So it's very interactive, and really looking forward to that because we go over a lot of great information, as well as talking about rule changes for next year, which teams have great ideas and things that we teams can vote on. So we want to kind of give you guys the power to shape this league and move it into the future. So it's very important for you to tune in that night. That's, again, Tuesday, June 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The women's meeting is the next day, so that'll be Wednesday, June 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, please make sure you mark your calendars for that. And then new team referrals. One thing that I've had several conversations with, Purdue being one of them, UConn being another, where they're having active conversations with non-member teams that are interested, and I don't know if it's because of them being able to watch the national championship or what it is, but there's some interest from teams out west in the California area, teams up in the Great Lakes. So if you have any new team referrals, if your buddy from high school is at a college that doesn't have a club basketball team and he wants to start one, please reach out to us. If you know of an already established club team that is not in the NCBBA, please reach out to us. And we can do all the heavy lifting. We can reach out to them. We can provide them all the paperwork. We just need that contact. So if you have anything like that, men's or women's, please pass it along to us. You can send it to me. I'll make sure that it gets to the right person. So appreciate your help on that, and that'll help grow the league, which will make things that much better. So that's all I got housekeeping-wise, and that's the same thing, men's and women's across the board. We touched on the league meeting, the only difference there, and as far as the women's league goes, LPA, reg forms, new team referrals, things like that. So,
all right, good stuff. Well, thank you, Christian. Appreciate that.
Yep.
And I think that's going to do it for this month's show. Thank you for tuning into this month's episode of Sweet 301. Don't forget to tune into our World Series events coming up for the rest of the month, and keep up with us on all our social media accounts.
Yeah, next episode is going to be June 14th at 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Facebook Live. Join us to catch up on everything that's happening around Call Club Sports.
All right, and as we depart, don't forget, it's a game.
Have fun.